Welcome to the show, everybody. It's the Crypto Lark. Today, we're going to be talking about Ethereum Classic as part of our continuing series of blockchain platforms. Where are they now? Before we get into that, a quick shout out to everyone who's been hitting that like button, and of course, everyone who's been subscribing to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you hit that button down below, or the bell, to stay up to date with all of the latest in the crypto space. Furthermore, this is of course not professional financial advice. This is just a dude talking about cryptocurrencies on the internet. Let's get into it. Ethereum Classic. Decentralized, immutable, unstoppable. Awesome. Now, we're not going to be getting in this video into the split between Ethereum Classic versus Ethereum. I have done another video on that previously. If you want to know more about that, I'll provide a link down below and you can go ahead and check that out. Now, in this video that I made previously, I was a little more skeptical of Ethereum Classic. Although I must say, ever since the time of that video, the guys at Ethereum Classic have been working very hard to get their project recognized. And so we're going to be looking into a little bit more of what has been happening recently over at Ethereum Classic to just see really what they have been up to. Now, recently we did have the Ethereum Classic Summit. I think this was a really great event. It brought a lot of people together, big Ethereum Classic enthusiasts, of course, but I think it also put a bit of media spotlight attention back on Ethereum Classic to get people talking and thinking about it again a little bit more. Now, Ethereum Classic is not just regular old Ethereum anymore. They've been developing a lot. They have, for example, what's now called the Sputnik virtual machine. So this is different from the Ethereum virtual machine. So they have been developing their own ideas on how to execute smart contracts, for example. They've been working on the Emerald software developer kit. We also have the Emerald wallet, which has come out as well. And probably what has been getting the most attention, sidechains. And this comes back to the Sputnik virtual machine, which can run smart contracts anywhere, including over on the sidechains. And I think that's an important thing to point out here. Now, sidechains are an excellent solution to scalability problems. We all know that Ethereum is having problems scaling. It's one of the hot topics at the moment. Everyone's watching. How is Ethereum going to scale? Is it going to be on-chain? Is it going to be side-chain? Is it going to be off-chain? No chain? Every chain? No, I'm just teasing, of course, with the last few, but it is definitely something that is problematic for the Ethereum network because Ethereum is so busy. Now, Ethereum Classic doesn't have the problem currently of being so busy because not much has been built on Ethereum Classic, although there are some upcoming projects. We're going to talk about those, but currently it's not a problem for Ethereum Classic, but the sidechains will help that future scalability, assuming that the business, of course, comes to the old guys at ETC. Now, there's also wallet integration with the Daedalus wallet, which is, of course, the ADA wallet from Cardano. This has been developed by Input Output Hong Kong. Nice. Of course, this guy right here, Charles Hoskinson, big supporter of Ethereum Classic. He went to the Ethereum Classic Summit and is regularly talking about Ethereum Classic. So that is great to have that, I think, level of support for Ethereum Classic. Really get those big names out there talking about Ethereum Classic. I think it does a lot of good as far as spreading awareness about what Ethereum Classic is trying to do. And there's quite a few big supporters out there for it, without a doubt. Now, this company, Grayscale Digital Investments, these guys have an Ethereum Classic Investment Trust. That's very interesting. Now, that is run by this fella here, Barry Silbert, another outspoken advocate for Ethereum Classic. Look, I know that Ethereum has its Vitalik Buterin, but Barry and Charles work very hard out there, and even though for Charles Ethereum Classic is not his project, he still does a lot of work for it and does a lot of interaction with the guys at ETC. Now, I think something really good as well is that Ethereum Classic has absolutely upped their game social media wise. They are just going on a social media blitz at the moment, which I think is, again, very fascinating, very encouraging to see that happening, that they are really connecting out there. When I reviewed them previously, the posts were kind of few and far between, but not anymore. They're really ramping up their game. There are a lot of projects coming to Ethereum Classic. We have Media Coin here. We also have Aether coming up, Aether. We have SoundChain. We have Gamer Ammo. And Metronome will also be launching on Ethereum Classic, which is very interesting. Now, that is a lot of different projects that are coming to the Ethereum Classic blockchain, which is very cool. We like to see that without a doubt. Now, for the guys at Metronome, that's going to happen in Q2, the first cross-chain launch on Ethereum Classic. But that's not very many projects when you consider just what is being built on Ethereum. We probably have 5 ICOs a day coming to Ethereum. And it's not all about ICOs. It isn't. It's an important part of the process. It shows people are using the heck out of the Ethereum blockchain. But it's not all about that. It's also about community. It's also about, trust in the code and all these fun different things that, the believers in Ethereum Classic hold up. Say, hey, we've stuck with the code. We believe that code shouldn't be altered previously in order to get people's funds back and all these things. So it's not all about the ICOs, guys. That being said, we do need to see some more business coming for the Ethereum Classic blockchain. But hey, that's not bad. We'll take some more, but that's not a bad place to get the ball rolling. Now, as far as Ethereum Classic mining, it is still slightly more profitable to be mining Ethereum Classic at $2,747 than it is to be mining Ethereum at $2,653. Now, the big difference here is that you get 3 Ethereum, but you get 75 Ethereum Classic for 100 mega hashes as an example. That's a pretty big difference. Now, if you're thinking of this speculatively going, which might have more room to grow? Potentially Ethereum Classic. Again, that's assuming that they can actually attract people to build on their blockchain. But certainly, if you're looking forward thinking, what might be worth more in a couple years as far as growth potential, right? Ethereum Classic might be a good spot to point your miners. Now, having a look here at the roadmap, there are some very interesting things moving forward with Ethereum Classic. Removing the difficulty bomb, which is coming for Ethereum. Mobile wallet for the Emerald wallet, which is the new Ethereum Classic wallet that they have. Side chains, again, really important. Moving forward, mesh networks. Focus on a light client for the Internet of Things and mobile. I think that's really important. We all know that a lot of the key blockchain projects are looking at how to adapt for the coming of the Internet of Things. And of course, you need high scalability for that. Ethereum Classic's sidechain solutions may very well be the solution that they need to be able to adapt to the coming IoT wave, which is without a doubt inbound. Now, the thing that has been getting everyone very excited recently is the Callisto airdrop. And of course, everybody wants to get that sweet, sweet airdrop. Now, Callisto is a blockchain technology which runs on the Ethereum Classic protocol. They're looking to introduce cold staking, which will reward participants for being token holders. Now, they will have smart contracts which can be used on the Ethereum Classic blockchain, or the Ethereum Classic smart contracts can be used on the Callisto blockchain. There will be a snapshot taken at block 5,500,000 on the Ethereum Classic blockchain, after which everybody who has one Ethereum Classic will be dropped one Callisto. Make sure you have that in a compatible Ethereum Classic wallet to make it easy for yourself. We haven't seen any exchange announcements yet about whether or not any exchanges will be supporting this airdrop. I would imagine that some will be, but nevertheless, you should always be in control of your funds, guys. Now, let's have a look at the numbers here. Ethereum Classic up around $40. Wowzers. Now, this is right around the all-time high. We did have Ethereum Classic at $45 a few weeks ago in January, and that was followed by a precipitous drop along with everything else in the market, of course. That being said, we're currently down 60% on the all-time high Bitcoin-wise, but we're right around the all-time high dollar value-wise. So if you've been trading dollars to Ethereum Classic, you're rock and rolling. If you bought Ethereum Classic with Bitcoin at a higher price, you're still trying to get that Bitcoin back, potentially. Now, look, what is the future for Ethereum Classic? I think that's a really interesting question, and it's one that's hard to answer, but I'm going to give you my perspective on it anyway. As I said previously in my other video, Ethereum Classic has to start getting that business. It's nice that we have a handful of ICOs being launched on Ethereum Classic. It's great that we have some really big names out there repping for Ethereum Classic, and I'm super happy to see the development that's been happening over at Ethereum Classic, the Sputnik virtual machine and side chains. This is all really great stuff. The competition right now in the blockchain space is huge. And look, Ethereum Classic has been able to maintain itself in the top 20 basically forever. So there's a lot of people out there supporting it. But the competition is very serious. From Neo to Lisk and on down the list. It's a big space, highly competitive. I hope that they can really maintain and build on the momentum that they have been getting recently, but it really depends on adoption. Currently, most of the business is going to Ethereum. Most of the business is going to Neo. Quantum's taken a good share of business already, and it's a newcomer. It's already getting more business than Ethereum Classic has ever got. So we do have to see that actual utilization coming through. It's all good for Ethereum Classic to have interesting and innovative features, but if no one builds on it, it doesn't matter. That being said, as mentioned, it's certainly a good potential to be mining Ethereum Classic. However, I have a suspicion that after the Callisto airdrop, we might see a pretty decent drop happen for Ethereum Classic. So if you're thinking about just buying some Ethereum Classic, you may want to wait until after the airdrop. History, of course, does not define the future, but this does happen quite a bit when we see that airdrop come in or that fork coin come in. It's not a fork, of course, and then people will sell out their positions and try and move from there. So something to keep in mind. Anyway, guys, I want to know, what do you think about Ethereum Classic? Are you bullish on it? Do you think it's got a great future ahead of it? Or do you think it's going to be overshadowed by some of the other players in the market? Let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.